Hey guys, all right. So joined by a good friend of mine named Mike Nesbitt. Mike Nesbitt, Coach Nesbitt is the head football coach at Ottawa University, Arizona, the Spirit. Coach Nesbitt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Vince. How are you?
I'm great, Coach. It's been a while, and record aside, I mean, you guys are playing spring football. You're sitting at 3-1 right now. You're getting ready to head out to Langston, Oklahoma. You've been beating some pretty good teams. I mean, how did the fall break help prepare you guys for spring ball?
Yeah, it's what we ended up doing basically is we just flipped the calendar. So when we came back and started school in August, we just said this is our spring calendar, and we went into weightlifting and conditioning and trying to get the guys going, and then got to Christmas break and turned it back around, and we just went into in-season mode as fast as possible in January. And for the most part, I think we've done a really good job. We had some time in there where we were actually shut down. I think before the Arizona Christian game, I think we only had really 10 practices before we played the first game. And there were days that the whole coaching staff was actually in quarantine, and we were coaching from our cars, and our kids were running practices and doing it on their own. And, we'd be honking our horns and telling them where to get lined up and different things, and had fun. Really the first half of January and February before we started playing was a really crazy time. But our players have done a fantastic job of just staying the course and doing what they needed to do. And it's been a fun group, and it was neat to see those seniors, that Saturday do their senior walk and have their families here, because that group of guys, for the most part, were all original recruits from the first year. So it was good to see them get that fourth year of competition and being part of the team.
Speaking of the team, so who's been a bright spot for you guys this spring?
Well, we've had a couple young guys that were true freshmen in the recruiting class. On the defensive side of the ball, Zamora, is playing great in the back end at safety. He's an Arcadia kid, played Arcadia High School last year. Marcus Williamson from Arcadia playing wide receiver at Z. And then FIFA, Darnell Rhodes came out, and you probably saw him last week. I think he was 6 catches for over 170 some yards, and just had a fantastic game at Z. That are two freshman football players that are playing fantastic. Defensive line, David Sow and Seth Ham, two brand new defensive linemen that we had step up this year, are doing fantastic. And then we had a couple guys, Jake Smith and Jack Sanderson, that have been in the program, that are actually playing defensive line for us right now, that are really done a fantastic job. And so that's a really neat thing to see. And then at inside receiver, Ian Zamudio, and he's not a new guy for us, but Jonah, is stepping up and playing at Y for us, that has done a fantastic job. And so it's those guys were, kind of guys that were hidden in the program the last 2 years by some other players, and now they've just stepped up, and you're really seeing them play. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, you guys are heading out to Langston, Oklahoma, as I said at the start of the interview here. Langston sits at 2-2 right now. I mean, what all can you tell us about?
Well, I told the team this on Tuesday morning when we did the scouting report for them, that they're not a 2-2 football team. They were really probably in a worse shape than we were before they played that first game against ACU when they came out here. They'd been locked up for a month because of the ice storm in Oklahoma and Dallas. So they couldn't even practice. I don't even know if they were able to get on the field. And then their COVID restrictions were even stricter as a university than what we were. I know that Quentin and those guys weren't even able to practice or weightlift in the fall. And so they were way, way behind in what they were able to do, just physical conditioning and play recognition and stuff like that. So they're a team they're a lot better than their record. And I know that sounds like coach speak, but I know Quentin and those guys at Langston, they really believe they're a conference championship football program. They really think they should be playing for a conference title also. So for their record and where they're at, I threw that out 2 weeks ago, because I know they've got better players and they've got a good scheme, and they're probably a group that you could probably throw us in that category too, right? That wishes they had 4 or 5 more games to play, because they're probably starting to hit their stride. So we're going to see a good team, and just competitively, right? They're not going to want to drop another game to us. They don't want to fall, 2 losses back to back, so that it'll be a tough game, and they got a great crowd. They got an open stadium. Fans are all welcome. They're going to have their big band sitting behind us like always. And so I would hope that our players are excited that they're really going to get to play in a full-fledged college football game this Saturday.
Good stuff, Coach. Congratulations on getting through the spring in a respectable fashion and keeping your team healthy. And we're going to be going into the postseason after this week. And I know that, you're kind of looking at the math and all that, seeing how all that plays out. And you've got recruiting and things along the way as well. So you got your hands full. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck this week, Coach. And we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for everything. Thanks for the support. Stay safe.